Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. Yannick Sinner versus Stefanos Tsitsipas, Australian Open 2022 quarterfinal, and it's young gun versus young gun. And you might be thinking, what? Stefanos Tsitsipas, young gun? Yes, he's still very young, the Greek player, and he will be facing someone who's playing some inspired tennis in Yannick Sinner. He makes his quarterfinal here at the Australian Open after some very good tennis. He hasn't been extremely tested, to be fair, in this tournament so far. But apart from that, in terms of the form that he's shown, it's been very impressive. What we're going to do, we're going to first of all go through the routes to this stage for both players. So who they played so far and how they got through those opponents. Then we'll look at the head-to-head. So obviously who's got the advantage in that, and some potential past encounters. And then on top of that, we'll look at the tactical breakdown, so strengths and weaknesses for both players, and also the matchups as well. So where this match could be won or lost. Before we get into that, please do remember to smash the like button if you don't mind, and subscribe to the channel. It really, really does help us out. I do appreciate it. Right, let's get into this. And also, actually worth noting, we should be doing a live stream for this, so commentary and watch along of this match. Here we go. Stefanos Tsitsipas. Let's go through his run first. He ended up facing Aryna in the first round. Got that done in pretty, easy fashion in straight sets. Against Bez, he lost a set on a tiebreaker, managed to come through in 4. And against Benoit Paire, again, a set lost on a tiebreaker, but again, coming through that in 4 sets. Now, Taylor Fritz was a different story. He was 2-1 down in that match, and it was a very, very tight affair. Taylor Fritz, I think, missing a few really good chances, a couple of volleys that were crucial volleys that he had to make, and they weren't particularly hard ones either. He missed them, and Stefanos Tsitsipas went on to win that match. In terms of Yannick Sinner and his run to the quarterfinals, he faced Sousa in the first round, won in straight sets, then faced Johnson, again beating him in straight sets, and then faced Daniil, the conqueror of Andy Murray, in the second round. He got through that in 4 sets, so the only set he's dropped so far this tournament is to the Japanese player, and then beat the home favourite Alex de Minaur in straight sets. So a very impressive win over him, considering that Alex de Minaur has been playing some very, very good tennis, inspired tennis himself, to be honest with you. Right, let's look at the head-to-head then. So from what I can see, it's actually 2-1 to Stefanos Tsitsipas. So they've only played each other 3 times. The 3 times they have played each other have all been on clay. So this is a very different surface. And look, I mean, Yannick Sinner's a pretty damn good player on clay, but I think we can safely say that Tsitsipas is the superior player on clay from what we've seen, obviously making a final of the Roland Garros tournament and Grand Slam, but also winning Masters tournaments as well on the clay. On the hard courts here at the Australian Open, on this quick surface where the ball's really zipping through the court, and the weather is baking the balls, it just helps the balls really fly the hotter the weather, and of course the courts play quicker. I think Yannick Sinner bridges the gap a little bit, at least a little bit, on this surface. He hits big off both sides, and for me, actually, his backhand at one point last year, anyway, I've in my opinion, his backhand was better than his forehand. It was the more solid shot, and actually, at times he was hitting more winners in matches on that side than the forehand, and it just was a weapon to behold. It really was. His forehand has improved in leaps and bounds, I think, in the past year and a half. And he now, to me, is becoming more and more of a complete player. He had a fantastic run at the ATP finals, coming in as a injury substitute for Berrettini. He's broken into the top 10 as well. He had a fantastic match against Medvedev in that ATP finals, eventually losing a tiebreaker in the deciding set, but he could have very easily won that. And I think that was a moment when I definitely thought to myself, he is starting to definitely come of age. He's already had a breakthrough year, but he's starting to become a real contender and will be in not just Masters, but potentially Grand Slams. And he will go deep in some slams this year, I would imagine. Now, he's in a quarterfinal here. What can he do? Well, I think the biggest thing to look at is his serve. He's bulked that up a little bit, which is very important. It's still not the standard I think he would like. It's, I think, still a little bit behind the rest of his game. From the back of the court, he's very, very good. The only thing I would say is his transition game and his game at the net still needs some improvement. But from the baseline, he is a power hitter and he can blow people off the court. His movement is very good as well. And the Italian just goes from strength to strength the more he plays. For Stefanos Tsitsipas, only a couple of years older at 23. But for me, he is in an interesting position in his career and also physically, I think. He obviously had that elbow injury in the off season and he didn't have time to work on aspects of his game. We saw that against Taylor Fritz. The return was pretty ineffective for large periods of that, and that's why he found himself in so much trouble in that match. For me, this could be a potentially good matchup for Tsitsipas because Sinner isn't a huge server. That could give Tsitsipas, better looks on the return. However, Sinner is a very good returner. Now, the serve return dynamics in this match are going to be extremely interesting because Tsitsipas, if he serves as well as we know he can, he will be hitting his spots. He will be going down the tee a lot. He loves those serves down the tee from both the juice and the ad court, which obviously gives the returner less time to react as well to that serve. It comes to a lot quicker. It's on the low part of the net, and it is the more dangerous, I guess, serve and more likely to be able to hit aces. If you don't get it right, then obviously it's right in the sweet spot for the returner to really dictate. So it's something that you have to get right, but he does do that more often than not. The second serve has been a little bit pedestrian, though, from Tsitsipas at times. Just not quite putting enough on it. And I think it's something that he will look at. And Jannik Sinner, I would assume, will step in a little bit. The biggest thing for me then is that serve and return dynamic for both players. So how well will Sinner serve and then how well will Tsitsipas end up returning those serves? You would imagine it will be, for Tsitsipas anyway, he'll find a pretty good scenario, I would say, on the whole. And he will be backing himself to hit deep returns. Where he stands in terms of the second serve return position will be very interesting. He normally stands very far back on both. But interesting to see if he backs himself to stand a little bit further in. For Sinner, he will be backing himself to make a lot of returns, get into the rallies. And I think the longer the rallies go on, I don't actually back Tsitsipas. I think the shot tolerance, I don't know how good it is currently in the form that he's in. He's a fantastic player, a really good player, Tsitsipas, and his ranking of 4 proves that. He's made multiple Grand Slam semi-finals, quarterfinals, and even a final last year after being 2 sets to love up at the Roland Garros final against Novak Djokovic. But this isn't the best version of Tsitsipas. He's playing, I would say, at around about 75%. Sinner is playing at about 90%, I would say. And he has the ability to blow Tsitsipas away here in this match if he manages to string together points really effectively. Now, I think for me, this is going to be one of those matches where it's going to be nip and tuck. I think the pressure points will be huge, and it's who handles those the best. Sinner is more inexperienced. He's younger. Tsitsipas has had that experience already, even at his young age of 23, and he's managed to play those points very well. He did that against Fritz in the last round, played the bigger points better. Sinner hasn't been at this stage, so it's a big question of whether he's able to, handle that pressure well. In terms of predictions, it is really tough because it's hard to back against Tsitsipas. He's been playing, as I said, not amazingly for his standards, but well enough to get through to this stage. And I did say, playing at the current level he should make the semi-finals. I'm actually going to change my answer and prediction from previously, and I'm going to go with Jannik Sinner. But I'm going to go with Jannik Sinner in 4 sets. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5. but I'm going to go with 4 sets. And I just feel that on these courts that are so quick, it just suits his game to a T. And I feel like he's really going to cash in on this surface and make it, make it count. I feel like this surface is made for him. He's not someone who's going to slice and dice. He's someone who likes to hit through the ball, hit flat on both sides, hit with big topspin, high velocity, and likes to hit his spots on there. He started to spot serve better, and he's bulked up that serve a little bit. He doesn't really want to be coming to the net loads. Tsitsipas will, but I feel like Sinner has the ability to hit those passes correctly and also push Tsitsipas back in the rallies to avoid him coming forward as much as he'd like. It'll be a very intriguing match for sure. Their first meeting on the hard courts. Let's see how it goes. But for me, Jannik Sinner in 4. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Please do remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much. Let me know your prediction and your thoughts, and whether you agree or disagree. Always great to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much.